If you've ever told an AI to build an app and ended up with a 300-line monstrosity full of global state and print statements, this video is for you. Welcome back. In the last tutorial, I showed you how I used vibe coding to visualize 20 years of marathon races on a world map. Today, I'm sharing the do's and don'ts that made that process actually work, and that'll help you vibe code smarter, especially if you're an engineer or a TPM trying this out. So, let's dive in. Let's kick things off with our first do. Start with the user experience, not the technology. Before you write a single prompt, get clear on the user experience. What's the user doing? What's the input? What's the output? Vibe coding works best when the AI understands your intention. So don't say, "Build me an app with Flask." Instead, say something like, "Create a Flask API that accepts an Excel file of races and returns an SVG heat map of race locations." That's vibe coding that vibes. Let's now talk about our first don't. Don't ask for the whole application at once. A huge prompt will always give you a huge mess. You'll get code that half works, with hard-coded values and zero separation of concerns. Instead, prompt incrementally. One endpoint, one function, one test. Try something like, "Given this data frame, generate a map with color-coded points and a legend, use Cartopy." In short, take small steps if you do want better output and facilitate debugging. Do number 2. Use vibe coding for plumbing, not strategy. What does it mean? Think of vibe coding not as an architect but as an assistant. You decide the architecture and the flow, and let the AI fill in the code. TPMs. This means you can rapidly prototype internal tools. Engineers. You can stop wasting cycles writing boilerplate for the 10th time. Long story short, vibe coding is best when you bring structure and let the AI bring syntax. Let us now talk about our second don't. Don't blindly trust the output. AI sounds confident, even when it's completely wrong. Expect hallucinated functions, bad library usage, or 90s-style HTML in 2026. So, always review, understand and run the code, and ask the AI to explain what it did. If it can't explain it clearly, it probably didn't understand your goal either. Do number 3. Use vibe coding for internal tools, prototypes, and tests. This is where vibe coding absolutely shines. Dashboards, data processing scripts, test generators, JSON munging. All the stuff that's important but doesn't belong in your production repo. Consider vibe coding like having a team of very good interns. You are not going to assign critical tasks to them, right? It's the same thing here. Pick low-stakes tasks. Ensure these tasks have clear instructions. And double-check everything. Alright, we're almost at the end. Let's talk about our last don't. Don't use only one AI tool. Every AI tool has strengths. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, Gemini, to name only a few. There are tons of AI tools to explore, use, and test. Use 2 or 3 together. Cross-check results. Combine perspectives. Figure out which tool works best for your specific needs. Finally, my favorite do. Build a reusable prompt library. You know how you reuse bash aliases or VS Code snippets. So do the same thing for your prompts. Start saving them too, and even better, group them by use case. Data processing, data storing, API and endpoints, image generation. You name it. Build your own prompt library and level up fast. That's it, my personal do's and don'ts of vibe coding. If you're experimenting with AI-assisted development, I hope this gives you a clearer, more grounded way to approach it. Like if this helped. Subscribe if you want more like this. And hey, if you've already been trying vibe coding, drop a comment with what worked and what didn't for you. See you soon.